Okay, welcome everybody. It's Lorie Brown from a nurse attorney at yournurseattorney.com and empowerednurses.org. And welcome to the Hey Nurses, What's Next Summit. How 21 nurses became successful business owners and entrepreneurs. And today I'm really pleased to have Catie Harris. She has a PhD and MBA and she's a registered nurse. Her business is called NursePreneurs. She's a mentor who has empowered hundreds of nurses to monetize their knowledge and skills in business while inspiring them to change the way healthcare is perceived and delivered. She strives to undo the perception that nursing care is limited to the hospital setting. So Catie's an international speaker who has been featured in ABC, CBS, NBC, Fox News, Huffington Post. She has also shared her innovative mentorship work on national and international podcasts and TV, including Be Efficient TV, Dubai One, and Copy Chief with Kevin Rogers. So Catie, welcome. I'm so super excited to have you here.
Yeah, thank you. I'm really excited to be here with you.
Well, great. And I love how our entrepreneur community is very supportive of each other, as you've had me on your mastermind group, and now I get to have you on my Hey Nurses Summit. So thank you.
Yeah, no, I like that collaboration too. And it was one of the kind of motivating factors of NursePreneurs was just to create a community and reach out to people and connect with people that I didn't know that they were doing stuff. So.
Well, great. So why don't you tell our listeners and watchers about your business, NursePreneurs?
Yeah, so I mean, NursePreneurs really kind of came out of one of my other business. I've had multiple businesses. Most of them no longer exist, but my concierge nurse services does exist. And from that, I had started coaching and mentoring other nurses that were interested in it, or they'd have other ideas and we would work through their ideas. And it finally occurred to me that that could actually be the business, is helping coaching and mentoring nurses in this space. And I really liked that aspect of it. And really the other portion of that was to build a community, because when I first looked out, I was like, oh, there's no other nurses, which was really kind of myopic, because there were lots of nurses in business at the time. There was no central kind of hub for them. So I wanted to create, my podcast really addresses what nurses are doing out there so that people have role models and figures of inspiration that have always been there, just we didn't really see them. And the NursePreneur community, the Facebook group, is really just a kind of, again, is another hub or a resource for nurses to get information and connect with each other. So.
Well, what you said was interesting, is that you've had multiple businesses. And I think as entrepreneurs who have that desire to have a business, it may not be the first one that you're thinking about, but it's okay, because every one that you do is a learning experience, and you wouldn't be where you are today without having the experience with the other businesses, right?
Oh my God, that's so true. Because those businesses taught me so that each one, it was just kind of like this, I would come to this stop, right? So I'm like, I get this great idea. I want to do it. Yeah, I'm so excited, and I'm go. And then I get to a point and I'm like, like one of the business, for instance, it was a transitional care for stroke patients out of the hospital. And in my naive mind at the time, I thought, well, I have access to all these stroke patients because I work at a stroke hospital. So I'll just, give my card to case management and they can let all the patients know. And, the hospital was like, no, I don't think so. So, it's clearly a conflict of interest that I'm working there and have a business. So then the next question was, well, where do I find these patients, right? So it opened up the door to marketing, sales and marketing, and that whole realm that I had no idea existed as a nurse. I just had never been exposed to that. So,
yeah, that's so interesting. Mine was Nurse Protection Association. And my idea was to have nurses pay in for prepaid legal, so that if they had a board matter, then they'd have free representation. And what I learned from that is that nurses don't think they're going to have a problem, so they don't want to pay for it. And even though many of them were like, well, gosh, I wish I would have done it. I never thought I'd have a problem. Well, it's too late now.
Right.
So,
we take a back fee.
Yeah. again, it's all learning lessons. And, so the point for our listeners is that whatever you think about doing, go ahead and start. Don't wait until it's the perfect thing, because there is no perfect thing. Everything that you do, every idea that you have that you start to grow, you're going to learn from it. You're going to learn it's either the wrong market or the wrong marketing or the wrong message are the three primary things, or wrong strategy even.
Yeah, and I've even had nurses tell me that they need to figure it out first, and I'm like, I don't really understand that concept. Like, that's what we're going to do. We're going to figure it out as we go along, but at least you have somebody working with you. I mean, you're never going to just start a business in your head. You could spend the next a lifetime thinking about what you're going to do, but you need that action step to really just go ahead and fail a couple of times, or whatever your pathway is. It doesn't matter. Just start.
Yeah, as Donna Cardillo says, fail forward.
Yeah.
Well, great. Yeah. So what was the biggest fear that you had when leaving your traditional nursing job to become a business owner?
Well, I definitely believe in multiple streams of income. So, I still do some academic work, so I can't say that I've left completely. But I mean, the fear of leaving that would be, just that consistent income coming in. So, you have to know your business so well that it's going to bring in this predictable amount of income, just like a paycheck would. And of course, nothing is guaranteed. We can all get fired from our jobs and that kind of stuff. But, and same with the business, but that is a huge leap. And then having to figure out your 401k and your health insurance and all that kind of stuff is really scary. So, and I've had a lot of people, that in different groups that I've been in, that's kind of their marker of success, is when they left their job, their 9 to 5, it's non-nursing people. And, I always kind of see it as having multiple streams coming in. So if one job took up way too much of my time and I couldn't devote time to my business, then it's an interference, and you have to consider what are you going to do. But it's really worked out very nicely for me, that especially because the academics gives me a platform as well. So it's been really, really good from that aspect. But the biggest fear would be that consistency, that can I maintain this? I can certainly maintain it with the academics, but can I maintain it without the academics? Is a scary thought.
Yeah. And I always say, build the plane as you fly. You don't need to quit your day job. Nurses, we're lucky. We work 12-hour shifts, 3 or 4 days a week. We have the other days off, and plenty of time to work on our business.
Yeah. And I would never, advocate for somebody to quit their job until they really know, or the job is really getting in the way of further success.
Yeah. But, comes a point where that you can create your own economy. You can make it no matter what, and you don't have to rely on a hospital paycheck or a university or whoever's paycheck.
Right.
You can make your own money.
Right.
And a lot more money too.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So what is the biggest mistake you made in any of your businesses?
Oh gosh, this could be like an hour long. I have spent a lot of money learning things, only to figure out that I didn't want to do them. So it was, for instance, like Facebook ads. I can't tell you how many courses I've taken on Facebook ads. I've done my own Facebook ads, and to be quite honest, I hate doing Facebook ads. So now that's outsourced to somebody else. So I could have saved many, many thousands of dollars not learning Facebook ads if I just hired the Facebook ad agency in the first place. So there's a lot of those types of things. And the other thing that I've done is I got caught up in the shiny object syndrome. So, Russell Brunson says all you need is a funnel, and Joe Schmo says all I need is this and that and that, and it's just like you keep chasing after it, and then after a while it's just kind of like there is never just one thing that's missing out of your business. It's that money would be much better spent on somebody to tell you what it is that you need in your business, and it's just something you work towards. It's not like you start the business overnight and you start getting paychecks or paid the next day, but that would be great, to make all this money in 24 hours, but it doesn't normally happen like that. So mistake number one is thinking that somehow I wasn't successful because it didn't happen overnight or as fast as it seems like everybody else is making money, and that it's taken a lot of work and a lot of effort, and 90% of the shiny objects I chased after were just a waste of time and money. So
Yeah, that's excellent points. I agree. I did the Facebook ad things. I hired somebody and it still didn't work and spent thousands of dollars for nothing. But it's every one of these things is a learning experience and makes you better for it.
yeah,
And then,
absolutely.
and the other thing, the shiny object syndrome, that is so true too, because there are not a lot of mentors in nursing that teach nurses who've been where you've been at. Our listeners are at, that can mentor you. There just aren't very many of us. So we go outside of nursing, and then we get the general information and not specific to what we want to do, because we're all really pioneers in this.
Yeah, and it's good to have people like us too, because a lot of the nurses that go out and then come back are like, a lot of the coaches and the mentors I had didn't understand what I could do as a nurse. They're kind of confused, and I don't know why this is such a confusing, like, and to me, being a nurse just gives you more validity and credibility for anything that you want to do, regardless of what it is. But
it definitely does, but we have to watch our license because we're held to a higher standard because of our license.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. Okay. So what do you love best about what you do?
I love I love working with nurses at the stage where they'll say, I'd like to start a business, but there's nothing I can do. So I love that comment. And, I'll sit somebody down for like 15 minutes and I'll have like 3 very clear things that they could do. And they'll get excited about it. And I love that kind of transition. And I love seeing them progress. And again, it is something that is, I'm going to say, a relatively slow and steady process. It's not like, okay, here's your business plan, and then here's your business the next day. It is something that, and in my mastermind, it's about a year. So, we take that whole year, and I like to take the pressure off of them and just say in the beginning, this is a learning year. We're going to learn how to put this together. And then the second year is really going to be where you scale it and start making a difference. But there's so much foundation that's got to go in that first year. So, I love seeing them, especially towards the end of that first year, where they are really kind of coming into themselves, or they've stretched themselves in different ways. Like I've gotten some of my nurses on YouTube channels and doing video where, that was just like so far out of their comfort zone, but they're doing it. So.
Yeah. And that's the key to a business is I always see, like, when you first started your first IV, you were terrified and shaking and sweating. And then now you can start it in a rock. And so you're going to have to be comfortable being uncomfortable, because that's what growing a business is. Every day is a stretch because we're learning new skills that we didn't have as a nurse.
Yeah, it just reminded me of a story. Like one of the first weeks that I was off orientation by myself as a new grad nurse, I had to stick an IV in this woman, and she was an old retired nurse. She must have been like 80 years old, and I was so nervous going in there, and I couldn't get it after like the 3rd time. She's like, "Honey, just give me the IV," and she like threw it in herself, and I was like, "Oh my God."
Oh, yeah,
but sometimes that's what you need, and I was like, "All right, that's not going to happen to me again."
Yeah, definitely. So what advice would you have for nurses who want to leave traditional nursing roles and start their own business?
I think, honestly, the one thing that I always tell people is, you don't want to come with the solution already. And this is the one thing I have to talk nurses out of, all because they'll say, oh, I'm going to start a business in meditation, or I'm going to start a business, yoga business. And, that's nice, and it's great that you love those things, but who are we talking to? Who is our audience, and what is their problem? And that's where you need to start, because if you open a meditation clinic, which is nice, you don't know who you're talking to, you don't know who your audience is, and you don't even know if your audience wants that. So really getting ingrained into your audience, who they are, where they hang out, and what are the things that they just are constantly complaining about, talking about, things that are just really impactful to them, and then see what it is that you're passionate about and what you can deliver that will help them solve that problem. So yeah, don't come with all the ideas of what you think everybody wants and then you spend all your time searching for an audience. Find the audience first and figure out what it is that they need.
That's great advice. And I always think of it as the yoga and meditation are the solutions, but what problem are you solving? So for example, when you go to a doctor and you need an appendectomy, he's not going to say, well, I'm going to use this size scalpel and go through the subcutaneous layers, and then I'm going to identify the cecum and grab the whole steps to the whole surgery. All you want to do is relieve your pain. And so it doesn't matter how you relieve the pain, it's that you have the solution to relieve the pain. And it could be yoga, it could be meditation, it could be whatever.
Yeah, absolutely. That's so important. That's absolutely vital that you're solving the problem. And, because when you just bring the solution, it's almost like you're kind of preaching and lecturing to people what they need to do, and nobody wants to hear that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, great. So Catie, you have been so generous to give everybody a free gift. Would you like to share that with them?
Sure. Yeah. So I have, it's the blueprint. It's called 4 Stages to 6 Figures, and it'll walk you through, and it's not just for nursepreneurs, it's people that aren't sure if they want to be a nursepreneur, because I have in there 200 non-clinical jobs that you could consider. So, I really think that people need to make sure this is the right path, because it's not easy. It's definitely not easy to start a business. You have to be really passionate and dedicated to what you're doing. And if you're just looking for something else to do, you might consider some of those non-clinical jobs. But if it is something that you want to do, it'll take you on that right path to what it is that you want to do first, and it won't cost you a cent to figure out who your audience is and what their problem is, and that blueprint will walk you through the steps of what to do first.
Right. And thank you so much for that. And the link for that is in the notes to the side of this video. So please go visit Catie and grab that. I think you'll get a lot of benefit out of it. And what you said was so true. It's that being a nursepreneur is not easy, but it is the most rewarding experience you could ever have. The freedom, the flexibility, not working 12-hour shifts, not working every other weekend is so rewarding in itself, having time with your family and making a difference the same as you would as a nurse, but in another way to other people.
Yeah, no, I absolutely agree. And it's given me so much opportunity to grow and learn. For me, it's been almost like personal development, because like when you're in the hospital, you're kind of you do this. And I was always the type of person like, well, let's do this and this and this and this. And they're like, nope, come back here and you just do this. And it made me crazy. So and that's why I've always done I've had so many different degrees, because I just kept looking for, I wanted to keep growing. I just like to learn all the time. And business is definitely something that you're constantly learning something new, and there's like no end to what you can do and what you can learn.
And that's so true. I believe that business is the biggest form of personal growth. And the more that I grow, the more my business grows. It's amazing how well connected it is.
Yeah.
And the more value I can bring to people. That's the most important.
Absolutely.
So, well, thank you so much for being here, Catie. I so appreciate it. And I know our viewers have gotten tons of nuggets from what you've shared. And please grab your free gift. And thank you so much for being here, Catie.
All right. Well, thank you so much for having me.
Bye, everyone.